Well, this is the time of year for gardening. Some people plant to put food on the table, and some do it for the beauty of the flowers. But as you are about to see, others find gardening to be a creative outlet. Doug Oster writes a gardening column for the Post-Gazette, and he is also an on-cue contributor. And tonight, Doug takes us to an art garden made in Pittsburgh.
I literally woke up one morning from a dream, and I wrote in my dream journal, and I just wrote, oh my gosh, that's the idea. Can there be a place like a gallery, like a museum, only it's all outdoor, and artists who work with growing plants are commissioned to make gardens.
Love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you end up having more. It's just like a magic penny.
In the summer of 2006, I took a trip down the Ohio River in a small boat. Friends and collaborators came out and joined me for weeks at a time. My aim was to invite as many people as I could to join me in an ongoing conversation to explore what seemed to me to be a riddle, a dilemma, a sight of too many conflicting needs and wants. The second largest river in the United States, nearly 1,000 miles long, the Ohio flows through Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and Illinois, where it joins the Mississippi and flows south to the Gulf of Mexico. I spent 4 months on that river, living in a makeshift houseboat, drinking filtered water directly from the river, recording stories of river residents and experts who let me join them in their backyards, in their houses, and on their boats. Contradictions of the river, the drinking, peeing, playing of it. I wanted to help the river continue to be a place where mayflies performed their 24-hour life, mating, dying dance, where the catfish were good to eat, where drinking and swimming in the water were not strange and risky things to do. I wanted others to explore it with me, and for us together to understand and respect it, and for us to understand and respect each other through it, through what we put in the river and the ways we use it.
It's this one moment in time where you can actually focus on a bit of text and give it your full attention. And we don't, in the public sphere, do that very often, right? I mean, most of the text we see in the world is noise. We have about 250 letters, so anyone who submits something has to fit into the constraints of how many H's and W's we have. the project's been going on for about 6 years, pretty much under the radar. It's intentionally an unbranded project. You have no idea, there's no telephone number or website or demarcation of how you're supposed to interpret or read the messages. They sit enigmatically on the billboard with the sky as the backdrop, and to me that's quite lovely. Lenka Clayton is a local artist who had a text that said a number of people who have looked at this sign. And she actually sat up here on the platform behind the billboard itself. And as someone would look up on the sign, she would change the number. It's interesting. I think what she was trying to articulate with that was, do people watch or do they not watch? And can the act of watching be noted on a sign that is primarily static, such as a billboard? Can it sort of watch you back?
The awards were actually called acknowledgements. They were intentionally designed to acknowledge the contributions that artists made within this community, for this community and for each other. None of these artists applied to our program for funding. They were just surprised by the awards that they received. Many of our recipients had organizations or entities that had served the public and the community for 8 or 10 years. In the case of the Afro-American Music Institute, 25. That institution is in an economically distressed neighborhood, and it's in what you might call a walking district, where people don't always have access to private transportation or to very good public transportation. And although the Institute had shared with me that sometimes in the past, stakeholders had recommended that they consider moving to other neighborhoods to share their jazz music training, educational programs with the broader community, they were absolutely set on staying in the neighborhood of Homewood to be a presence in that community. Another philosophical approach that the project took was that we believed that artists could make good, solid decisions around the implementation and use of funding and resources. In addition to making the cash awards, I figured out that photography would be the way in which I could represent the artists as contributors. And I thought that these photographs could be used to represent the effect that artists and other creative professionals had upon the community here in Pittsburgh. So instead of seeing the product, the painting the artist did, or the show that they put on, you saw them in the working environment, or you saw the collective working with its constituency to produce new work, inviting the public in. The photographic archive has over 2,000 high-resolution images, which we shared gratis with our acknowledgement recipients and the broader Pittsburgh community.